apologies. So if we've got your team here, Brian, we're ready to carry on. Not sure.
She will be on her way. All right. Thank you. We are going to, if we could, Ari, start with the solid waste resolution in regards to Mercury Bay RTS. Once we get that up, that is a vote. Page 56 is the resolution, 186 is the info, but it's what Mo was talking through prior to our adjournment. So
it's actually page 57.
57.
That's all right. All the lines blur at this time of the day. We just have a very small change that we change it budget to be absolutely clear, budget over years 1 and 2 rather than budget for years 1 and 2. It's that money is spread between years 1 and 2, 50-50.
Okay.
We have a mover and a seconder. Yeah. Put the motion. Sorry, or is there a discussion?
Through the chair, we already have a mover and seconder. We just need to put the motion.
Can I just ask one question?
Please do, yeah.
That's already rated for in year 1, isn't it? It's not an additional piece. That's already in there.
It's an additional 2 million.
It's an addition now.
It's an addition.
It's an addition. And what's the impact on the rates of that?
$1 million capex each year.
In year 1, it's $7.57 or 0.2%. And in year 2, $6.29 or 0.1%.
Thanks for that. Just wanted to keep that cash register accurate.
And that's loan funded, isn't it?
Loan funded? Yes, it's a 50-50. We've made an application for external funding, as you know.
Thank you. Okay, no further discussion. Put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. Carried.
And Mo had one other quick update.
Hey, Your Worship and Councillors, just a quick update on the universal metering program. Currently, it's programmed to start from year 4 of the LTP. We will be coming back through a future annual plan process to bring that forward to start in year 2 of the LTP, 25-26, but we will come back at the annual plan time, and then Whangamata will be the first cab off the rank.
In year 4? No.
Yeah, it's currently in year 4, but we will bring it to year 2, but we will come back at the annual plan time. Thanks.
Thanks, Matt. There's nothing. Sorry.
Yeah. So I just speak to that. These are the water meters in Whangamata.
That's correct.
So they've been bought in a shed for quite a long time and were started in 2022, I think, when they purchased them. So we're keen to get this on, so we can move it into year 2 of the plan, not year 1, of course. And it should have been in the last 2-3 years, but it hasn't happened. So it's been pushed out, and I think it's time that we've got the opportunity to get this equipment in place before it goes rusty.
Did we buy rusty equipment? Peter.
If this needs to be brought into year 2, why do we not do that now rather than it was part of the annual plan? Surely that's being more honest about what the situation is.
That to our accounting staff in terms of, for that too.
So you could, I guess where we got to is that we only picked it up in the break, and so we'd have to craft a resolution for you and put it back into the budgets. And what we said is, well, it's in year 4 in the LTP, and if it's important, we can discuss it in the annual plan and bring it forward if you want to. But if you'd rather put it in starting from year 2, we can craft a resolution for sure for that. So I guess it's a show of hands one.
Peter, are you saying that why have we got water meters sitting in a shed and proposing to have them sit there for another 4 years? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not quite saying that. What I'm saying is we're hearing very clearly that it's going to happen in year 2, and therefore we're going to have a annual plan submission to bring it forward and da 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 da. I mean, why don't we just bite the bullet and deal to it now and say, hey, it's going in year 2? Different view.
No, I'm saying we're in your hands, and if you want to do that, propose something.
Well, there it is.
Can we draft a resolution?
Yeah, draft the resolution.
Start a revolution?
So I'd like to move that the, whatever it is, be brought from year 4 to year 2.
The universal metering program be brought forward from year 4 to year 2.
Yep, thanks.
I'll
move
second that.
The whole program. Yep, because we do others as well.
I just clarify, so that would be the program starting in year 4, be brought forward to start in year
Correct.
1.
Year 2, starting in year 2.
Oops, sorry.
To year 2.
Martin, you had a question.
Is it, you may have covered it, but I can't remember. Is that give enough time for that unbundling work to happen?
Unbundling will be done separately because once we start installing, that's when unbundling becomes more apparent. And then we'll
Right.
do that as a
So you
separate
can get it
package.
to the X percentage that
Yes,
aren't, and
that's
then
all
deal
the
with the
straightforward.
unbundling.
Correct.
Thank you.
Terry, did you have something
Oh,
else?
sorry, no, just, I was,
Okay, so what, Brian, should we move on? Wait, so give Ari time to just draft up the
Yeah,
resolution.
so while we draft that, well, where we were going to move on to is the building resolution, but I will need Ari. So maybe before that, are there any items, as I suggested before the adjournment, are there any items in report 2 under those activities that you haven't got to because it wasn't on our comprehensive list that you want raised? Or are we happy that we've sufficiently gone through the activities?
Well,
We're
forgive,
happy?
hold your peace. Is that
Great.
the final part of it?
So going.
Sorry, I'm just going to ask for some clarity around, well, there's no proposed changes, but Whangamata resource recovery, is there active discussion around allocating some space in the transfer station for potential future use as a resource recovery collection area?
I'm happy to answer that question. In
thanks,
terms of the existing Whitianga, in terms of the existing Whangamata artery, yes, I think the space is quite tight. The site gets quite crowded, and especially during peak period, everyone will be aware that the vehicles pile up on State Highway trying to get into the site. So it's quite a difficult site, but we are working with the trust to find alternative locations.
That's the resource,
Resource recovery.
reuse trust.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. That answers the question. Thank you. Okay, what have we got? In relation to the water supply activity group, resolves to rephase the universal metering district-wide program from starting in year 4 and move to start in year 2 of the annual plan. Can we, long-term plan. Do we need to put long-term plan 2020?
Yeah, it's done.
Thank you. Oh, you're clever. Fast, speed of light. Okay,
Yes.
mover and seconder,
Oh, yeah.
please. Revel, Walker, all those in favour?
I was about to say, is that specific enough, the water supply activity group, because we do water supply everywhere? Or is it the universal metering? Like, does it need to say that it is the project in Whangamata, or is this absolutely clear enough?
It's not a
No,
Whangamata
it's-
specific
okay.
project, but it has got the universal metering district-wide program.
And so that's perfect.
Yeah.
No, that's,
Thank you. All right, that's carried. What's next?
Okay, so yes, Mo. Thank you, Mo.
Yeah, Your Worship and the councillors, just want to say thank you for your support. Really appreciate it, and big thanks from the team as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Mo, and thank you for your work. Yeah, good job.
All right, so we are going to come back to key decision 5. Let me get my numbers. So I think page 86 is the summary of the feedback. Page 56, 3 is the resolution. This is in relation to the building. We have the staff recommended option, which has not changed from what we went out for our preferred option in consultation. However, we were asked yesterday to look into some further advice, which I will give a quick summary of. You do have the ability to defer your final decision on this until further investigation has been made on the potential leasehold agreement, or that someone else building a building for us. And if you made that decision to defer and request us to carry out that investigation, we would remove the budget out of the LTP, and we would have to put in additional budget regarding those two items that we've talked to you about, which is the investigation for a potential site and for the assessment of this building. So that's what's open to you. We do have a resolution crafted if that is where you go. I guess I'll leave it there. So it's over to the councillors. You have the four options you consulted on. You've got the staff preferred option, and then you've got the advice around how you could defer and not make a decision on those four options.
Can we have a look at that resolution?
Yep, we can get it up while the discussion happens for sure. So we potentially need some clarity on if this is the decision that you made, some clarity on the highlighted points in terms of what you'd be asking us to do and by when, because we heard urgency. And also we've highlighted the 35K because that 35,000 or 20,000 is only one site investigation. If you were just wanting us to go look at a site, that's what it would cost. If you want us to start looking at, if that didn't work and you want us to look at multiple different sites, start again, we'd have to put more budget into that. So the $20,000 is the advice that we've been given for what it would cost for geotech assessments and contaminated soil assessments of one location.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Yeah, just that only pertains to this building, not that building as well?
Correct. The project was just for this
Building.
for this building. And I would advise you, it's not in the resolution, but it's going to require reconsultation once that investigation has finished. No matter what option you go to.
I think you raise a really good point there. It just seems counterintuitive, that you look at one in isolation of the total picture in regard to the accommodation needs. I could see a scenario coming back where, yes, it's viable, but immediately then it sort of raises questions. Well, do we rescope it to include all the needs of the council rather than still having some in one building?
So through the chair, the scope for the refurbishment of this building was to would have housed everybody in here. So then that building would have become vacant. So we could have and then we would come back to you to decide what to do with that building. But that was all just about housing everybody in the one building.
I knew you'd have an answer.
Which, yeah.
Ari, could you scroll to the down or something so that we can see the top of the... Can I just get clarity over where it leaves us, because initially, Aileen, you talked about that dual pathway of option one and doing this at the same time. Have we moved away from option one altogether? And where does that leave us in terms of option one, and whether, if this doesn't work out, do we have to revisit option one completely?
So the staff recommendation remains option one, but we heard yesterday elected members were keen on another option. We proposed a parallel option, but we heard elected members weren't keen on the parallel option. So we effectively abandon option one. We're into option 5, and we need to reconsult to take any steps. That could be annual plan next year, or it could be earlier than annual plan next year. So in any scenario, we're back having to reconsult. The consultation we have done is not necessarily wasted though, because we have it. We know what the community think, but it's not an LTP amendment, is it? It's a special consultative process to then make a decision, which is effectively to put the budget back in if it's to go back to option one, or it's to go to the lease option, which the community have not yet been consulted on. Sorry, a long answer.
As part of the annual plan, if we need to revisit or go back to option one, having done this investigation, that would be an annual plan process?
No, I just said it could be earlier than that. So it could be a standalone process ahead of the annual plan, or if it takes that long, it could be the annual plan.
But part of the reason we would need to consult is because we're taking the 9 million out of the long LTP, and we'd then be wanting to put in.
No, you're doing that now. You're taking the 9 million out now.
So we've taken 9 million out, and so therefore, when we do decide what we want to do, it is very significant, because we're talking at least a $9 million.
Yep. So
thing.
when you come to consult next, it's either it's a lease option that the community are hearing about for the first time, or it's putting the money back in for the option one if this number 5 fails.
Okay. Ready to vote on that? Can we go?
Before we vote, we just needed that clarity. So to remove the highlights, you're happy with what you're asking for in A and B in regards of further investigating that other option, the leaseholder option? We're happy with that? Okay, and then for C, sorry, I thought that was B. For C, December 2024, you're happy with that date? You did request urgency. Is that reasonable? It will be operational budget. So yeah, we just unflagged that. So like I said, 35,000 or the 20,000 isn't going to go far. It's going to for us to look at one site that we've been thinking about, but I don't think so basically we look at that site, see the viable or it's not, and that's what your budget will cap us to. So we can keep it at that if you're comfortable that that's all the scope that you're giving us, or you could increase that if you wanted further, but we don't know what that would cost.
We only have a couple of parcels of land where this would be viable. Sorry.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
You'll pick the best one.
Okay. So you're happy with that amount?
Oh, well, I was thinking of doubling it.
Well, we could do an out of cycle if we decided we wanted another 35, couldn't we?
Correct. Yeah. And I guess the other risk that we've discussed is if the assessment of this building identified issues that meant that we had to leave, we'd be coming to you for an out of cycle anyway. For funding for leasing somewhere. Okay.
Hi-ho there, Tiger.
Okay. You happy with that? Yep. Brian, have you given us what
We'll take that final green.
Do we want to limit ourselves to that one new site? Because that doesn't look like we could ask somebody, or like this, we've got this piece of land that's here and is in a good place, but you know, if we don't want to build a building but somebody else is happy to, Yeah, do we need to have that one new site, or do we need to have on appropriate sites, or?
Yeah, well, like, I guess if someone
Just
else,
'cause of the
we'll
20,000.
ask if someone else is happy to and it's on whatever site, then
Right, okay.
they'll pay for that, I'm assuming. But if we're going to do some investigation on land that we own, that's what we're getting at.
We've got a mover and a seconder. All right. All those in favour? Those against? Carried. Thank you.
Great. So we have one final resolution on page, I'm going to guess it was probably 57. Yep, 57. I think the last area, I'm just checking that we've passed 1 to 9 of those resolutions.
Yes, correct, we have.
So we just need 10.
We just need to. But we might need to make it specific. Because it's saying consistent with the above decisions.
That would be correct. So sorry, Ari, we've made decisions. They're not necessary. We've added in some additional resolutions, so it will mean the above decisions, because all of those decisions will sit above 10, and 10 may change number to be 13.
Probably about 22. Okay.
Okay, mover. Martin, seconder Robin. All those in favour? Those against? Carried. Thank you.
Great. That's the media report. Well done. We are halfway through. Okay. So we're starting now with report 3, financial policies. Not being as prepared as I need to be, do either of you want to do a quick introduction to that, or do you want me to just get on to the page numbers?
I don't know if Donna has anything to say. I think the report is as read. This is on page 204 with the recommendations on page 205.
Yep. So the revenue and financing policy, that went out as the list of consultation documents. So the first topic in that is separately used inhabitable parts. We received some feedback. So, yeah, SORP. You can see the staff comment in there that discusses linking it to the rates review, which you have committed to undertaking. Are there any discussion or changes to SORPs?
I think the rates review is the correct forum for that. And now's probably not the time to debate it.
Any further? Okay. Thanks, Brian.
All right. In the revenue and financing policy, we had 3 people provide feedback on funding of the coastal and hazard management activity. Donna, is there anything you want to add on this one?
No, there isn't, unless there's any questions. Everything's in my staff response.
To 11 for funding of the coastal and hazard management. All right. 212 user pays fees and charges. This will be linked to your. You've got another report on this and a key decision, but 3 people provided feedback. And the staff response is in there.
Council keep a list and update a list on this with the numbers. Development contributions list you put out.
We're in user pays in the revenue and financing policy on page 212.
212, yeah. We're on development contributions. No. 212.
Also, through the chair, the staff comment down there is in regards, there must have been some development contribution policy questions there as well, and so it's been sort of included into the one comment.
Right.
And yes, the development contributions for charges or development contributions are in the appendix to the development contribution policy, and they get updated.
Updated.
Yeah.
Every 3 years or every year?
Every 3 years.
Every 3
when the policy gets reviewed.
Thank you.
And then there were other funding matters. 8 people provided feedback. It's in a table with staff commentary. So are there any comments or changes? Okay, so that's the revenue and financing policy. Good work. Development contributions policy 215. 215 outlines the 8 people who provided feedback on this policy and the staff comment. Happy to answer any questions if there are any. No. 216 rates postponement and remission on Māori freehold land policy. 11 people or organisations provided feedback. Staff comments in there.
So the staff comment is 226 is when they're going to review it.
Yeah, it was not due for review until 2026. Yeah.
Yes, so through the chair, just to clarify, we did a very small review of it during this process, and the main reason is because in 2021, when it was due for review, the last LTP, and we adopted it, just not long after that, there was some changes to legislation that came out, which was in reference to this policy. So even though we knew the legislation was coming and we wrote into that policy potentially what we needed to for that legislation, I just wanted to reword some things really so it was clearer and make more clarity for users of that policy to better understand how that tied in and basically complied with the legislation. So that's what the review was. My view is that we would review all our rates remission policies together as one, which we normally would every 6 years. So it would have a more thorough, full review, essentially in 3 years' time.
So Donna, would this and the next one, the rates remission, would they actually fall into a rate review? When we do the rate review, would that encompass all these bits and pieces?
It could do, like it depends what comes out of that review. Like if something comes out of that review that means that we have to make changes to our policies, then we would do that at that time. Like the 6-year thing is policies have to be reviewed at least every 6 years by legislation. So, but that means you can review it more often than that if you want to.
Okay.
Great. The rates remission policy. So this policy wasn't consulted on. However, we did get 5 pieces of feedback to that. So we have captured that in our deliberation reports. The staff comment is that we can't make changes to that policy right now because we have to go through a process for that, and that process will be in 2026. So it's more to note that feedback.
Yeah, feedback is well noted, particularly in regard to the Mercury Bay Trust and the issues that they have. So I think we'll be encouraging that to be looked at as a one-off at some point at a future meeting.
Yeah, so through the chair, my recommendation for that is it would come through the Risk and Assurance Committee because that's what they're tasked to do in their terms of reference, so.
Okay, and we had one piece of feedback on financial matters that was outside of the scope on page 218.
Resolutions are on page 205 of the report.
So your worship, you could move them as a whole, or you could
I'm,
take them individually.
I'm going to propose that we move them as a whole, having just gone through them one by one. So page 205, items 1 through 5.
I'm happy to move.
John Grant,
all
mover,
five.
seconder. Martin, all those in favour? Those against? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Are we on report 4, fees and charges?
Yeah. Okay, so we're on to the final report, report 4, fees and charges. We do have a number of resolutions. Do we think? Yeah, okay. So we will do the run sheet back to front a little bit. So we will move down to the dog registration and health fees. So just by way of explanation, those letters go out earlier than than your adoption date to remind people that they have to start to register. Some people do come in early and register as well. And so we typically set those fees now so that those letters can go out and are correct. So if I take you to page 222, maybe 221.
So the proposed changes that went after consultation are on page 222.
Yeah.
So we're increasing the dog registration fees from $85 to $95. Dangerous dog fees go up from $127.50 to $142.50. And then we've got other health licenses that there are a number of increases there. So all the other fees, and we've also tabled a number of changes to the text with explanations. The other fees and charges will come back to you for adoption in June. It's just these ones that we need to get a letter out early that we're asking you to adopt early.
So having looked at the options and happy to take any questions, we would have resolutions.
Yeah, just a very quick question. They're fairly decent sort of increases. Is that because we haven't reviewed it for a little while? Or?
They're in line with trying to find more revenue. Key decision 4, was it? Yeah. In terms of the consultation we had on fees and charges and trying to find some other revenue sources that weren't rates. So user charges were looked at. There was a on average increase of about 3%, but that was spread out because some fees didn't increase and some did. So these are ones where we haven't increased last year, but we did the years before. So since I've been here, they probably started at about $80 6 years ago. So it has moved. We had a discussion about how we would move those, but what we'd like to do is keep a hard number, not just inflation adjust, and have a $83.80 fee. So we typically don't move them and then move them to an even number. They're not out of step of with other councils.
Robin, you have a question?
And am I right in that the fee 85, 95, whatever per dog doesn't cover all of the dog and compliance related activities at all? This is just a fee that people pay, but it's not covering all of the dog activities.
It's not 100% user paid. There's an amount of rates that would top up that, which is appropriate because there are compliance activities that benefit the general public in this activity, but user fees would be at the higher end of it. Yeah, it fits within the financial policy in terms of what we're setting. And just on the dangerous dogs fee, that's just legislatively 50% on top of what the normal fee is.
I should also bring to your attention that we have got a decision. We did go out to consult on this key decision 4, and at page 229 you'll see 229 230. You'll see that 67% of the people providing feedback on this agreed that we should increase our fees and charges by that amount. Overall, that's an overall figure. Some fees increased more than others.
So it may be helpful. Let's look to that page 2 then, and then we could take the resolutions as one, I guess. So
I guess I was happy to move the resolution as it is in our agenda pack as it is without that, but
Okay, so thank you. So where's what page is our resolution? 220.
221
and 221.
so we're talking about resolution 8 on page 221.
The other half of the
So if it's helpful, we can look at your key decision 4, because that was the consultation on this specific issue about user fees, and then that gives the context to some of the other fee increases, and then you could go through the resolutions. So if I take you to page 229, as Leslie pointed out, we had 121 responses. The staff, the preferred option was option 1, and that is a 3% overall. It's not each fee increased by 3%. It was to generate more revenue out of fees and charges by 3%. And 67% of people supported that option. 12% said don't increase our fees and charges, and 21% said they didn't know.
So where's the resolution relating specifically to decision 4?
220 resolution 4.
Resolution 4.
There it is there. Item 4.
Yeah.
Right.
So the first 3 resolutions there are just receiving and noting the feedback. Resolution 4 talks about that option that will increase your fees by approximately 3%. We do have some amendments to be made, which are resolution 5. Those are just slight changes to what was consulted on.
Okay. Shall we take 1 to 3 and then 4 on its own and then 5 through 9?
Perfect.
Yeah. So let's take on page 220 items 1 to 3. Can I get a mover and a seconder for those? Was that a move or was that a question? Thank you. And seconder Peter Revel. All those in favour? Aye. Thank you. Item 4, which is key decision 4. Mover and a seconder for those. Delhi and Peter, thank you. All those in favour? Aye. Thank you. And we'll take 5 through 9 as a block. Right. Martin, seconder. Robin, so all those in favour? Aye. Thank you. All right. Is that helpful, Brian?
Yeah. Did you say 5 through 9?
5 through 9.
Perfect.
Yep.
So, yeah, we actually got there in time. So that's the end of report 4. We'll get Hayden to have a tally.
Yeah, we're at 13.4%. So,
That's where we're at?
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Aidan,
Yes. Yep.
yeah, thanks for sticking with us. Have you got the local rate breakdown by ward now?
Through the chair, I've got some local rates breakdowns that I can hand out before these changes, but yeah, they're based on the average valuations that have come through, so I can hand them out if you'd like. I don't think there'd be much difference, to be honest, with all these ups and downs. I think.
Hayden, through this process, we shoveled quite a bit of stuff out of year 1 into year 2. So does your machine tell you what the year 2 increase is looking like?
Yes, I've got year 2 and 3 here. 7.1 for year 2 and 7.6 for year 3. Thank you.
It won't be that, Peter.
Okay.
13.4, 7.1, 7.6. Have I got it right?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. Brian, where are we up to?
That concludes our session. So throwing it back to you to close the meeting if that's all that there is. I really appreciated the engagement, and I am impressed that we got there before I thought we were going to go late today. Yeah, well done from us. Thank you.
Thank you. And can I say on behalf of this council, thank you to Brian, thank you to Leslie, thank you to Hayden, thank you to Aileen, all the team in behind that. Thank you to Kath, Harry, thank you. Donna, Mo, Ian. Oh, no, I said Aileen, but I'll say it twice. Aileen, thank you.
Yeah, Your Worship, I've got some rating examples here based on some of the averages on the
You got
new
my house on there?
the QV data that we've got through. So what we've done is we've put through a range of scenarios. As I've probably said it quite a few times, but there can be like, we have about 28,700 odd ratepayers, and every property is different. Well, not every property, but most properties are quite different in terms of their makeup, in terms of capital value, improvement value, and land value. And whatever mix you've got will have an effect on the overall rates that you pay. And then obviously it can change per ward as well. So I've got some rating examples here, and we've basically tried to just give a good range of different examples. And, you know, we've got our first one is the average property value, and then we've taken an average property value in the top quartile, and then we've taken an average property value in the bottom quartile for the residential rates, and then we've just got the other rate types. So yeah, they won't be updated with these changes, but I don't think there'll be a huge variance. But most of the changes that came through were in the district activity anyway.
That'll be a big help. Thank you, Hayden. Awesome.
Can I just make a comment? Not to Hayden, carry on, but to the staff, it's not only the work that you've done, but it's the attitude that you have exuded as you have done that. And when I think what you in particular, but all staff have been through in the last couple of days with us prevaricating a little bit from time to time and changing your mind and so on, that you're never once did I see rolling of eyes in this room anyway. Never once did I see rolling of eyes or, you know, what an idiot or whatever it is. And I think that speaks volumes for who you are as people, and part of what makes it a pleasure being part of this this group. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter.
And likewise, elected members, this has been pretty tough. I don't recall a 2-day period like this that's been as tough in my career, actually. So well done to you guys who've you've gone to, you know, some quite you've done some deep dives over the last few days, and it's exhausting. And yeah, you've earned your beer this evening probably. But I do just need to check, and Donna has prompted me. This is from here. We're now going to build an LTP for audit and then come back to you for adoption. So just wanted to be really clear as we leave here, this is it. And if there's anyone who has anything left unsaid, now's the time to say it, so that we can leave here confidently to lock Hayden away in a room to actually build the beast from here and get it to audit, where we'll have another round of deep dives on many issues.
Build the beast. Is that official speak, is it? I think it fits the bill. Yeah. Thank you. All right. What is left on our order of business? Do we have a public excluded item, or do we have anything left?
Sorry.
What's that? Is that just the process? No, this is just the reasons for whatever. So that's all right. So ignore what I just said. Okay. So I'll close the meeting. Thank you, team. All right.